Hi, thank you for joining us. I'm Tim Scull at the Canton Clay Works. What I wanted to show you is another intermediate demo. And this one is another texture that I use quite a bit on my raku ware, and I use it an awful lot on my wood-fired pieces. What this is a clay comb. It originates from Japan. One of our local suppliers of tools and clay sells kits of them. And I use a clay comb in two different directions to try to replicate what might look like a textured textile. It looks like a weave or a twill. So what I'm trying to do is to create a conflict and a mystery of the clay wall that is textured and the smooth, glossy top of the area. So that's what the texture looks like. And I do this high fire and low fire with different glazes and different firing techniques. And I'm just going to hand this off, and then I'll show you how I do that. So I'm using brown stoneware. I do this an awful lot in serving vessels and folded rim pieces. But I'm going to do a vase similar to the one that you just saw. And this is the clay comb. And they come in different sizes. And you can buy sets of them. I bought a set of 3 of them. I use them a lot. I really like them. Okay, we are on center, ready to go. So now I'm opening. Compress my bottom. And pull up. Just like in the other video where I textured with ball clay, doing these closed forms, you want to leave a deposit of clay at the rim, because that's the clay that we're going to work inward across the top or horizontal plane. And in order to do that, you need to leave a deposit of clay on the top of the vessel. So in these pieces, a little different than what I did on the ball clay texture piece, is I want a real distinct mark where my texture ends. So if you notice, I make a ledge up at the upper thicker section, just like this, and I texture from here down. So before I start to texture, I try to clean my hands off, clean the surface area off, and then I take my clay comb, and while the wheel is spinning in slow motion, I push the clay comb in and bring it up on a spiraling diagonal. I texture the entire exterior wall. And when you become more comfortable with the tool, you can do it a little faster. And it looks like I have everything. Now that's going in one direction. Now I'm going to change the direction of my wheel with slightly lighter pressure. I'm going to go in the opposite direction. So now the texture is intersecting again on an upward diagonal. So it's going to look like a twill or a weave. I don't push in very hard because I don't want to eradicate the first directional texture. So I'm going slightly lighter, so I'm still leaving the texture going in the opposite direction that was underneath this. I'm sure you can see that. Now it looks kind of busy, it looks a little, almost too busy. It looks a little too tight. Now we're going to rivet, or we're going to stretch the interior wall outward, and it's going to become exaggerated. This is a wonderful technique also to use on functional ware. Serving bowls, casseroles. And then I don't glaze the area that's textured with this comb. I leave it raw. So you see, that's really dramatic, very basketry-like. Now before I go any further, this rim going horizontal becomes problematic. I still want to rivet a little bit, but what I want to do is I want to start pulling this rim upward and inward. So it's not in a horizontal plane. It's too early for me to allow this to go to a horizontal plane, because if it does so, it's going to collapse on me. So what I'm doing is using this middle finger, highly lubricated on the inside shoulder, my index finger or middle finger of the right hand, the left thumb connected to the right thumb, and I'm going to move this clay upward and inward against the inside hand, which is lubricated and stationary. It is supporting that wall so it doesn't collapse. Also notice how steep this angle is. I'm not bringing the clay wall down yet. I'm letting it stand more vertically, because as I expand the exterior wall, this more vertical rim is going to come down. Big difference from where it was before. That big deposit of thick clay on a horizontal plane would collapse on me. So this is going to prevent it, this angle is now going to prevent it from collapsing. Now I can afford to round this piece out even more. And if you look at the rim before, during, and after, you'll find the rim will start to move downward. You see how the rim just came way down? And it's a little wet and wobbling. So I go back and correct the rim. And this is the stage at which I will use my heat gun to firm up this gelatinous rim. Woo! Almost lost it. Did you see that? Started doing the hula hoop thing. Whoa, it's doing it again. Gotta moisten it. That's my finger, dry finger, catching a section of the wall that's dry and pulling it off. I'm gonna try to go as far as I can without stopping and using a heat gun, because that's very interruptive to the demo. There we go, it's working. Bring it in. Bring the rim up slightly. There we go. If I go any further horizontally, this is going to collapse on me. So this would be the stage I would apply a heat gun if I want to close it any more. But I like what I see. I might want to rib this angle here out just a little bit, but the top is so moist that if I work this piece anymore, which we would call overworking it, it will collapse. So I'm not going to work it anymore. And that's my piece. That is the texturing with the Japanese clay comb. Thank you for joining us.